Good afternoon. I'm Mayor Ralph Becker, and I appreciate all of you being here from the media, and especially appreciate the folks who've been able to join us. Some folks have had to leave because of schedules, but for the last hour and a half, we've had a facilitated discussion, a roundtable discussion here among us about immigration reform, and what it means for us. What it will mean for our communities, what it will mean in our society. And there's certainly some things that are a given, I think, for all of us in this discussion. One is that the federal immigration laws are broken, and the other is that we have a need, and an immediate need, to get things done. And by we, we're really referring to Congress. This is a federal issue, and it is for Congress now to take action and to address what is a broken system and has been for much too long. What we discussed, and I'm going to share the time here with my former colleague and still colleague, Dave Ure. Dave Ure was a representative in the Utah legislature when I was there. Like me, he got some sense and moved to local government and is now a Summit County council member. The two of us, I think, are going to kick this off, and then we're going to invite others to join in. But let me just mention, we have assembled here, and there was a larger group for our discussion of folks from all parts of our community, who are state leaders. We've got state elected officials, and those who are involved with state government and the universities. We've had business leaders here as well. We've had community organizations representatives who've been involved and bring great expertise in terms of background and expertise in immigration. We have faith-based communities, and we've had law enforcement here as well. And over the last hour and a half, we've talked in a very forward-leaning way about what immigration reform means for us in our community and for society. And we focused in three areas. We've talked about community, we've talked about our economy, and we've talked about immigrants themselves. And I'd say the theme that this revolved around was realizing human potential. Was that with immigration reform, we will get the full benefits of members of our communities and helping them and having us realize benefits from their full participation in our communities and in societies. We talked about how important education is, and how families and our education is a limited resource and pathway for members of our community that are now living in the shadows. We talked about our economy and how, in every sense, whether it's business development, whether it's workforce, whether it's increasing opportunities that we all benefit from business in our community and the economy, will benefit. We talked about very basic things like a decreased number of deportations and what that means in terms of its impact on our communities and on business. And in our families, the basic unit of society, how our communities will benefit, how each person will be able to enjoy benefits through families feeling comfortable and participating fully, both civically, but also in terms of their children's education. I think at the core of this was a sense that we will be able to enjoy greater trust in our community, and all of the rewards that we have and the strengthening we have from that elevation of trust, both among members of our community and between members of our community and our institutions. So that's just a brief summary. I'd like to turn time over to Councilmember Ure and have him talk as well. I should note, Councilmember Ure and I are members of different parties, proudly members of different parties. But when it comes to an issue like immigration, this should in no way be a partisan issue. This is about our communities, it's about people in our society, and it's about opportunity. So,
thank you, Ralph. It's been a long time since I've been in a position like this. It's an issue that has been smoldering for some 20 years that I'm aware of. I would hope that Congress has enough common sense, and I'm going to be sarcastic if there is any common sense back there, that they come together and make a bill, make a law that is workable. One of the things that Mayor Becker and I just spoke about a few moments ago was we would hope that if they're going to pass a law, then they put in place the funding so that we have enough employees and enough offices in place that whatever the bill says, it will accommodate those who are living in America today. I don't believe that if they pass a law and don't fund it and they spend 4 years writing rules, which Congress is notorious for doing, that they will have accomplished one thing except they can say they voted for or against in the next campaign in immigration law reform, which I think is critical that they put in place the infrastructure to make the ideas that came forth from this group here possible. No, we were not all in agreement on some things, but it was a good roundtable discussion as to what the needs or what the complexities were in society in order to make people at least realize that they're an important part of society without totally giving them everything, I might say. And so that's all the remarks I really have to say, is those are the feelings that I had here. I'm grateful for the people that were talking here. You've got a cross-border people, as Mayor said, and I think that at least our 6 delegates going back to the National Congress back there need to be wise and listen to their constituents as to what needs to take place on both sides of the fence. So, Mayor, that's really about all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to invite others either to emphasize certain points we may have missed. We've got senators, we have state representatives, and we have members of a cross-section of our community here. So please come up and join us. Come to these mics so that the media can hear us as well.
And I'm Mark Alvarez. I was very happy to hear the theme of the realization of human potential be at the center of this conversation. Also, and I don't speak for the group, but I got a sense that we see the immigrant population, even the undocumented immigrant population, as an essential part of our communities and as a part of our communities that's going to help us move forward as individuals, as families, as business owners, as people who more fully participate in our society. I think in this group, people were asking Congress to change the laws, to modernize the immigration laws, to allow people to more fully participate in an open society. That's better for them. It's also better for all of us.
Thank you. Anyone else want to come forward, or we can answer questions? I'll tell you, we have assembled here. I really appreciate that folks have taken the time. Incredible expertise, and people who've been involved with this issue, not just as the hot issue of today that's before Congress, but really for decades. So I think we benefited from that in the discussion. And as Councilmember Ure said, Congress needs to take action, and it needs to be done in a comprehensive way that doesn't just piecemeal us into a position where we're back where we are today by not addressing an important part of immigration. So
actually, that was the issue I came back to speak about. Is I think it's very important to use a comprehensive way and not the piecemeal, as some people are saying. I think this bill is so widespread that the right hand and the left hand have to know what's taking place. And with the piecemeal situation, I think we've learned in some of the healthcare issues that have taken place over the last 3 years that sometimes they contradict each other 3 or 4 times, trying to accomplish the same thing. And it has to be comprehensive so that we know that when we're talking about the economy, how it's affecting education over here or vice versa, and how the either qualify for citizenship or they don't qualify, and it's not contradictory to both of them.
Yeah. We heard, as we were starting our conversation, Councilmember Ure was talking about compromise is the way we get things done in a democratic society. And for members of our Congress to think that it has to be exactly their way or no way means we will continue in this really stagnant situation for the foreseeable future. So we hope people will take heed to those of us who are trying to work on these issues locally.
Rebecca, what is the sort of purpose of this roundtable discussion? What will be the outcome? Is there a document you're trying to produce?
Well, first of all, I think we wanted to see really where we had common ground. We talked about that in various parts of our discussion and what we felt were priorities. And so I'll mention, for example, and this is really one of many examples, that one of the things that was common, whether we're talking about community economy or the immigrant population, was that education and families are at the core of success. And we need to be attentive to that at the local level, and that as we get, hopefully, if immigration reform passes, it's where we're going to have to do our work, because that's going to be a key to success. But the other thing I think that came out of it that I certainly wasn't anticipating, because I've been so current events focused on this issue, is that when hopefully Congress passes something, we need to be prepared to take the next step. And we talked about, hopefully when Congress acts, that we will reconvene and say, okay, how can we make sure that our governmental entities, our businesses, our organizations, faith-based or otherwise, are prepared to take advantage of what Congress passes. And so I think we talked about, hopefully if Congress acts relatively quickly, and I say relatively because we are talking about Congress here, that we'll want to reconvene and try to make sure we're working well to accomplish the outcomes.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, please. Archie, maybe, here's, come take my seat.
Hi, I think that this is
Why don't
really...
you tell folks who you are, sir?
Oh, I'm Archie Archuleta, president of Utah Coalition of La Raza. We've been involved in immigration solutions and predicaments, et cetera, for quite a while. But I would think that one of the most important things that took place here today, that we had a mayor and his staff and his departments that looked ahead to see what was going to happen if and when this law passes. And the mayor has just reiterated that we need to be prepared. And so I just wanted to congratulate the mayor, and it was a great beginning. Our moderator or facilitator really made it easy for us to put our ideas on paper and to begin to look at this as a 2 or 3 phased process. We just looked at what's possible, how do we do it now, and within that whole thing, why are we doing that? And again, I want to congratulate the mayor for this fine conference.
Thanks, Archie. Other questions for us, or other points that maybe I should invite our panel?
392 people are naturalized today as American citizens. What's your thought of that here in the state of Utah?
Thank goodness. I mean, really, it's a celebration, I think, obviously, for the folks who are involved with their naturalization process. I'm sure they went through quite a path to get here, and we welcome them. So.
Hi, I'm State Senator Todd Weiler, and I represent part of Rose Park. The state legislature, we often push back against the federal government, and we kind of flex our muscles and say we believe in states' rights. Well, immigration is one issue where we really want the federal government to act. This is solidly within their purview, and I think one of the messages I heard today is that we need our congressional delegation to be leaders and not just be obstructionists. We need them to compromise. And even though I'm a Republican here with a lot of my Democratic friends today, we're agreeing on more than we're disagreeing on. And we really need Congress to act, and we need them to act now.
Thanks. Others? Yeah, Tony, please come up.
Good afternoon. My name is Tony Yapias. I'm an immigrant activist. I just want to thank the mayor and the city for hosting this meeting. But one of the things that we've noticed yesterday as Congress was taking the first votes, the crucial votes with regards to immigration reform, it was the immigrant community's reaction I was very impressed. I was getting text messages, calls, lots of hopes are in play. We had people who said, look, it's been 20 years since I haven't seen my family. It's been, you can kind of hear stories like that all the time. I think the immigrant community today is looking to Congress and looking at the mayor for his leadership to bringing us together, and everybody that's involved in these discussions. It's important to, as we see the next few weeks, see how it plays in the Senate, it's important for us to work with our congressional leaders. As President Obama said yesterday, not everybody's going to get everything they want. Not even the immigrants. We don't have a say in that as much. We're not saying we want this. If we want it, we wouldn't have to wait 13 years to get citizenship. We would be asking if we got our way, it would be 5 years. But I think everybody needs to understand that this is going to be a great compromise at the end of the day. So thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Yolanda Francisco Nez, who's our coordinator for diversity and human rights, is going to make a comment as well. But in additional answer to your question you asked before, I was prompted to convene this roundtable by the White House. I was asked if we could get folks together at the local level and talk about our issues from our perspective. And so I appreciate that. And the outcomes of this work, thanks to our interns who we noted run the city, will really be to provide a report pretty quickly back to our congressional delegation and to the White House.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm Yolanda Francisco Nez, and I'm the coordinator for the Mayor's Office of Diversity and Human Rights. And we put this convening together, and we're responsible for the outcomes that will appear in a report that goes back to the White House. I've sat here for the entire two hours approximately, looking outside that west window there, looking at two beautiful American flags waving in the wind, and thinking about the fact that when we pledge allegiance to the flag, one nation, and then we talk about indivisible with liberty and justice for all, how about as a country, we begin to be a country that it has equal opportunity for all. Now is the time for immigration reform to occur, and it shouldn't wait 1 minute longer. And it's time for us to make those compromises and stand behind the initiatives that are being that have come forward, so that we can have individuals who live in this city, this inclusive city, where people are treated fairly and equally. And a lot that was talked about today, the word fear came out a lot. Think about how debilitating fear is. Where fear is, imagine the effects of fear. And when fear does not exist, imagine the freedom that does. And so that's what I would like to share with you today, and thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Yolanda. Any other comments? Any more questions? Thank you all for joining us. I particularly want to thank members of our roundtable for joining the discussion today, and hopefully we'll look forward to the next steps. So thank you.